And here we are. What's up, gang? Marco Joe Paul Gambino here, and I'm here to talk to you guys about conditioning. So, let's get started. One thing that I really like to open up with whenever we start this kind of conversation is the conversation of using the bag. Now, no matter what, using impact for training is always going to build a level of resistance, a level of conditioning. Because when we think about conditioning, what we need to look at it as is the capacity to be able to perform an action a number of times without failure. And in that aspect, if we think about it, about our shins and using that for strikes, but also using it for defending strikes, we also then need to think about the rest of the body that's then taking impact as well. So we can't just rely on things that we're using for strikes. So that's what brings us back to the rolling and tapping conversation, because you'll find a lot of people say that doesn't work. Now, it's where you place it. So some of you guys might have seen my video of me kicking the tire. Some of you guys might have seen some of the other training videos that I've done with nunchucks and stuff to train for like my own impact absorption. And what I like to do is basically to use a force or something that I can control, but not really. That's the great thing about the nunchuck. You might hesitate a bit more going at yourself with a bow staff, but going and throwing strikes at your legs, you're whipping the hand motion, and you can find a flow which allows you to find an almost meditative aspect from it. And from there, you can use that balance of impact to then start to understand, okay, cool, I'm going to be hit with something that is solid. And the conversation on like chopping down the tree, if you think of what you're actually doing, we're taking one of the heaviest limbs on our body and we're smashing at the other person's heaviest limb of their body. Now, nothing in there is the chop of an axe. Now, we use our shins in a sharp motion, but a swing is used in the same way. So if we can mechanically think of it more of a swing, maybe our thought process on taking impact will be adjusted a bit differently, because we're aware we'll take impacts when we're swinging a bat, but when you're swinging something edged to go into something, it's the force is obviously dispersed in a directional way in order to produce that chop. So if we think of it more as a smash, because there is going to be an impact, maybe you can adjust that thought process. And that then jumps onto the next line of where we want to go into, which is the mental conditioning that is required for all of this. You need to be able to put yourself in that frame that you're able to deliver damage, but also receive damage, because every time you deliver damage, you will receive a bit of damage. It's impossible not to. So in that, you need to then not necessarily welcome damage that then comes back to you, but you can't shy away from it, because you must be able to withstand what you're able to dish out in order to dish out beyond. And if you're unable to withstand what's being delivered, it's going to take away from your then delivery to them, because you're going to be thinking about, am I going to get leg kicked again? Do I need to check at this moment? Do I need to check at this moment? And that's when you see people getting jumpy with their knees. So if you can form that mental fortitude through your conditioning practices, you can then start to build further. And that's why finding a meditative sort of loop through it, gamifying it. The tire conditioning drill I do as kicking up and down the mat, and I want to try and keep a measured pace. So I don't want it speeding up. I want to be able to measure the kick, and measure the kick. Because if we think about our shin, we kick thinking about here, but here's all meat. So that's all muscle. That's your tibialis. So what we want to think about is that. because with that, that's the blade. That's what we need to hit with. So when we throw that, we need to find that angle to make sure that hits with as much impact as possible. If you want to think about that chopping motion, then yeah, you're thinking about this blade. But if we think about smashing the tree, hit with the whole thing. And then we can channel all of that energy into the target with more of our focus and more of our impact, and then have that understanding of that mental balance of what's coming back to us, rather than throwing the chop and potentially hurting ourselves more with the check if we're hit on the muscle. Tell you from personal experience.